Whenever a real emergency occurs throughout the European Union, 112 is there for you.
You are listening to Undercountry Music with Neil Smith. Digging under the surface, finding the underground country music, news, and interviews, and bringing them to you.
Yee-haw! It is episode 112 of Undercountry Music. This is your show host with the most, Neil Smith, coming to you from high atop my internet broadcasting / podcasting. I like doing the slash there because I'm really big into horror flicks. Overlooking a dead tree in my backyard from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Episode 112, like a Keebler elf. All right, I know that didn't rhyme, but you know what? We got an extra special guest here today. This guy has played with some legends in the business, spanning a career of 40 years, and you still don't know who the hell he is. But that's why I've got him on the show. Everybody, Richard Lee from the Brymers.
Hey, thanks, Neil. Thank you for having me on. It's great to talk with you, and that you have a show and a passion, built for music. That's tremendous.
I make a lot of enemies and a couple of friends.
We have done that also in the music business, I'll tell you.
It's not hard to do, is it?
It is something. It is. But I'll tell you, we enjoy it, and we've been going strong since about 1964, when we first started. We were teenagers in a band.
Now, let's put this in perspective. I'm 45 years old, and I wasn't even born yet.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to ask you your age. I'm not even going to go there.
I'll be very happy to tell you. Oh, well, thank you. I'm 68. All of us, we're the original members, and we got back together in 2007, and we have 5 CDs out on the market, and then we continue to perform in concert, and we recorded an album a year. In fact, we're working on the 6th one right now.
Okay, so that, well, no, actually, that means you record an album about every 10 years.
Oh, during that one-time period, we were not playing together. Correct. From about 70 to 2007.
Oh, yeah.
We did not, and we got there. And then a couple of record companies got a hold of me and so forth, and they said, "Hey, why don't you guys do this and do that?" And so we went back in the studio in 2007, and then we, like I said, it was off to the races again. Started recording and an album a year, and then also performing.
Hey, now you have a recording now. Now this show is about country music, and I know you guys put out a lot of country releases, but that's not. Country actually hasn't been your greater background, from what I've been able to gather. Sort of digging back into your past, it's been more along the lines of sort of how do I put it? Maybe Dave Clark 5-ish, maybe something like that.
Well, it was back in the day. Once again, we started out as a surf band, and as all groups did back in the early '60s, and then we evolved into a rock group that had what they referred to as the Mercy sound of when the British invasion came over with a more rock. And then what happened to us, and we didn't realize that till years later, doing different interviews with like some radio stations, and then we did some TV programs. People asked us, they said, some of your music has this little country flair to it, influence of a southern rock and so forth, and we were laughing because we were unaware of it. And what happened is that we go back, and all of our parents were musicians and played music, and we played in bands in the Central California. And I remember even as us, when we were on the road a lot, we'd come back, say, from L.A. to San Francisco, it'd be about 1965 or 66, and we'd stop off in Bakersfield overnight, and we'd always go out to the Blackboard out there in outside of Bakersfield, a little community.
My dog's from Bakersfield.
Was that right? All right. Well, we got to know these guys. It was a house band. Nobody knew them that well. Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, Fuzzy Owens, Bonnie Owens, some of these people, and we'd get up and sit in with them, and they really got a kick out of it. And we got like these guys because they brought a different style of country. A lot of the sound out of Nashville, Memphis, they used orchestration, and these guys used Telecasters and Stratocaster guitars, and that's what was called that Bakersfield sound. They really jacked it up a little bit, and it was kind of neat. These are. Of course, both these guys are legends now, and but it was fun getting to know them back in the day.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough. I got to see Buck Owens perform live a couple of years before he died. I lived in Los Angeles. I lived there for about a decade, and I was going, you know what? Buck Owens plays several nights a week, just 90 minutes drive north of here, and for like peanuts, for like 10 or 12 bucks. And I said, we got to go do that. So my wife and I, we got in the car, and we humped over the grapevine and went up there, and we saw Buck perform, and it was really something. It was really cool, and I'm glad we did that because like the very next year he died. Okay, now your resurgence back into the revival of your career kind of happened by accident, more accident. You were poking around on the internet, just doing a little search for things having to do with your old band, and you, by complete happenstance, happened to figure out that a song that you recorded a very long time ago sort of had caught on in international radio stations, and was actually, the recording of it actually became somewhat of a collector's item. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, it was really funny. It was it was early in 2007, and I was poking around, and I was just curious. And I just happened to, it was one of these forums dealing with garage bands. And have you anyone ever heard of a group called the Brymers? And these people, someone says, oh, yeah, they had that song called The Sacrifice. I think they were a black group out of Oakland. And then other people was talking about it. And then that guy said, yeah, they passed away about 6 or 7 years ago. And they kept going on, and I said, no. I said, I'm the founder of the group. And I said, we're all white guys. And I said, we're out of in the Central California Valley by Fresno. And I said, in fact, we're still back. We just got back together. And then some other people came in, and by in the morning, I probably had 300 emails. And they were from Japan, and they were from Europe, and they were from Australia, and all over the U.S. and Canada. And they kept asking. Then another person came in and says, hey, I'm associated with this record company label. And I said, would you mind if I called you? And I said, oh, no, go ahead. And he called me. He said, holy crap. He said, we have been looking for you guys. And I said, really? And I said, well, we haven't gone anywhere. And he started laughing and so forth. And he says, this hit.
Literally.
Yeah. I said, this track, they said, has become a hit. And it was asking us about it and how we recorded it and where we're at and all the rest of our recordings. And I said, well, I have probably 350 to 400 photographs, and I have all my master tapes, and I have all that, and here. And so then a label out of Chicago put out an album in 2007 with about 26 or 27 of our tracks we recorded. And in fact, one of them was a country song. We did a cover of Back Naturally, a Buck Owens song that he wrote. So we went off from there, and then all of a sudden we started getting more, and then we started getting involved with movies. Then a number of our songs have been placed. In about the last 3 years, we've had songs placed in 4 different movies, and then there's going to be one coming out this year that's going to be placed in called The Bronx Bold, and at the end of the year, another one's going to be coming out. Then we had 2 songs placed in a film called Jobs, about Steve Jobs of Apple Computers. And it was Sacrifice, and one called House of the Rising Sun. And it's just sort of taken off.
Well, you know what? I'm going to actually play a song from the Brymers right now, and
Sure.
it's a country. It's actually quite a serious number, and I think it delves into a very, very important message for our time. And I'm going to play it right now, and then we're going to kind of talk about it and really delve into the deeper meaning of it. Does that sound like something good, Ron?
Sure.
All right, this song is called Duct Tape. You are listening to Undercountry Music, episode 112, with your show host Neil Smith and
Richard Lee of the Brymers. Glad to have you here listening to the show.
Well, I learned so much throughout the years about simple one little simple item, no restrictions or bewares. My old man was best there was simple home repairs. When I was small, my daddy took me to the hardware store. He said, son, I'm gonna teach you how to mend that screen you tore. So pay very close attention to what I'm gonna say. Anything can be repaired with just one roll of tape. I was raised on duct tape. Who needs those stupid tools? People watch me use it. Some think I'm pretty cool. I can fix most anything from cars to wooden gates. Can be made just like brand new. Just me and my duct tape. I fix those fishing poles, the water hose, the collar on your dog. I fix carpet, fix the waffle line, and fix your old duck hall. Fix broken glass and leave a patch in the cracking your guitar. TV knobs that chandelier, let me do it all. I fix those dishpans, trash cans, leather balls. Fix the kitchen sink. I fix broken noses, cooler pads, and toasters on the blink. I feel just like a superstar. Each and every day I get it done just like brand new. Just me and my duct tape. I fix those shower towels and paper dolls and backyard waterfalls. I fix toilet pumps, oil sumps, and flattened basketballs. I fix broken frogs and leaky logs and a handle on your safe. I can fix your water bed, just me and my duct tape. I fix Venetian blinds, the roadway signs, and tires on your truck. I stop hurricanes and I fix jet planes and shoes that people dump. I fix muzzles and puzzles and icebox doors and dreams that people break. Freezers, rubber ducks, and I can rip your house with break. I was raised on duct tape. Who needs those stupid tools? People watch me use them. Some think I'm pretty cool. I can fix most anything from cars to wooden gates. Can be made just like brand new. Just me and my duct tape. Ah, yeah. I can tape anything. Anything.
I do that every time I use duct tape, and my wife can prove it.
Well, I'll tell you, we recorded that song 4 years ago, and it's off of an album called Where Are They Now? And our keyboard player wrote it.
Now, you've played with some legends, and I'm not just talking about walking into a bar and before someone got famous. You actually played with some legends while they were famous, not only on the bills with some legends, but one legend in particular, you guys stood in as his backing band one night, and I want you to sort of tell us all about that.
We were a lot of groups. Our manager, he was a program director for a radio station in Central California, a little 50,000 watt number, and so a lot of times we'd be on the road. And we would be backing up guys who were just over, like Chuck Berry. Another were the Isley Brothers. Another were like Cannibal and the Hunter.
Oh, okay. So you were kind of like were kind of like the stock house band, and the artists would come out and you'd back them.
And we would travel around with them, and we'd do our show. But instead of them having a show, since it was all our manager, so we'd get paid extra if we would back them up.
I see. Now,
in addition,
I went to see Chuck Berry a few years back. At this point, I guess it's probably 8 years ago or something like that, on this Legends of Rock tour with Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard, and
right.
and I had always heard that Chuck just goes town to town and just fronts pickup bands who a lot of times never ever have had any rehearsal with him. And he just walks out on stage, starts whatever song, doesn't even tell the band what he's going to play, just starts playing in whatever key he happens to pull out of his butt, and then the band has to be good enough to follow him on the fly. Now, I know you. You tell. Was that your experience with Chuck?
Oh, it was. One, he was a very gracious guy, and because we played many cities with him. And he really got a kick out of us. And our first encounter, Barry came on, and we were wondering where he was at. And